And just like that, it is now 10 o'clock on the west coast of Canada. So we're going to kick off the Vancouver Power BI Modern Excel User Group Meetup for Thursday, November 20th. We've got Faraz Shaik with us, but before we do that, we're going to go and do our typical thing of thanking our sponsors. So first off, big thanks to Skillwave, which is my training company that makes all this stuff happen. If you are looking for awesome Excel and Power BI training, this is definitely the place that you want to go. Excel Guru is the parent company of Skillwave and also the creator and distributor of the Monkey Tools add-in, which helps you build better Excel solutions faster and also audit files, including Power BI. Our next meetups that we have coming up, our last meetup of the year will be Marco Filocamo is going to be joining us on December 4th. We're going to be looking at the Excel of madness and surviving client requests. This should be great. If you haven't met Marco yet, he's got a phenomenal sense of humor. Really looking forward to this session. And then we'll be having a session in January, but you know what? We'll save the announcement of who that's going to be until a little bit later on. So, but these meetups will be open for RSVPs, so definitely looking forward to having you join us. What's new in Monkey Tools right now? Honestly, I haven't actually pushed out a new build since October 15th. In that build, we've got our dimensional values measure monkey. Like I say, this one here is not one that you're going to use every day, but if you need to create a real quick batch of calculates for every unique value in a column, which I have definitely had the need to do, this tool will get you there very quickly. We also put in a bunch of bug fixes and other little things going through the entire thing. The latest release is October 15th. I do plan on doing another release before the end of the year, but I've got a bunch of things going on between now and then. So we have a new product in the Skillwave catalog. This is called the Ask Can Anything subscription. For those of you who have been part of our Skillwave Academies, you'll know that this is a feature that was included in both our fundamentals and our self-service BI Academies, which I'll talk about in just a second. We're now selling the subscription separately as well, so you can join in without a course, so you can come and ask me anything, and we help solve your challenges. Just had one of these yesterday, phenomenal time, and spent 2 hours going through and just sort of helping people out with the different things that are going on, which was a lot of fun. My Excel Fundamentals Academy, if you are looking for some good training, filling in some knowledge gaps, or maybe your team needs that kind of work, we focus on Power Query, pivot tables, data visualization inside this one here, as well as your basic formula skills and whatnot. There's about 30 hours of training and coaching, access to the Ask Can Anything sessions, and a lot more inside this one. You should definitely check this out. And don't forget, Black Friday is coming up. So you might want to be on our newsletter to watch for specials in this particular regard as well. If you already feel that you know your good Excel basics, or if you just want to bundle this, we have our Self-Service BI Academy, includes the Fundamentals Academy, also has a whole bunch of training specific to dimensional modeling, DAX, Power Query, Power Pivot, Power BI, all kinds of good stuff in here, copies of my book, copies of Monkey Tools Pro, there's a bunch of great material inside here. This is my premier training program. Should definitely check this one out as well. Our last kickoff for the year for both the Fundamentals and the SSBI Academy will be on December 10th. This meetup, along with all meetups, is recorded and will be hosted on the Skillwave YouTube channel. We usually post this within 24 to 48 hours. If you are signed up for the meetup site, we post there to let you know. Of course, if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll also get an immediate notification of that as well. Finally, penultimate slide here before I turn it over to Joseph is, if you know someone or you would like to speak at our meetup group, we're always looking for new presenters here, whether you want to talk about Excel or Power BI or something in the Power Platform stack. We'd love to have you. Love getting new speakers here. Just fill out the quick little survey here. These slides are on the meetup site, so all the links there are live. So it's super, super easy to find. And on that note, Joseph, I think I'm done. I think I'm ready to figure out what's new in Power BI. So
you've done this before.
I mean, you've done this before as well, haven't you? So,
totally.
There we go. Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Ken, and welcome everyone to this month's, I guess, November of 2025. What's new in Power BI? The last What's new in Power BI session that we'll do this year. Ken and I were just saying the year's flown by. And for this month's presentation, I actually have 2 months of new features in Power BI since for the October meetup last month, the October release hadn't actually come out yet. So I'm going to do a quick summary of what's new in November and October, and then I'll jump into detail for a few of my favorite features from the last 2 months. So as always, my favorite starting place is the Microsoft Power BI updates blog, we usually get a feature summary blog post that reviews all of the new features for a particular month's release. So if you look at the November ones, for November, really, it was just a lot of, I don't know, small updates, existing functionality sort of progressing, some things going from preview to being GA generally available, and the usual updates of like Copilot and AI moving around and coming into different places in Power BI and Power Platform. So I do just want to touch on some of these that are important, particularly the card visual becoming generally available. I want to highlight this one because the new version of the card visual has been in preview for, I think, 2 years, at least 2 years. It finally went generally available this month, and I know that for quite a few users seeing online, it actually broke some production reports. Some of the settings changed when they pushed the update to the card visual. So if any of the cards in any of your reports have broken or things look a little bit wonky, I would definitely check out the comments on this blog post itself. Down at the bottom, it talks about that. And I think there's a Reddit thread as well going over some of the issues here. So if you are seeing any weirdness in your report with card visuals, it could be because the card visual went from preview to generally available this month. In addition to that, one of the things that I will touch on in just a second is automatically expand matrix columns to fill available space. Last month in October, we had this update for tables. In November, the same functionality became available in a matrix. So I'm going to go over that again in just a second. And then for another one is enhancing image visuals with styling, states, and more. I don't really use image visuals that much. I don't have a good demo to go over, but if you are using images in your Power BI reports, I would encourage you to check that out because it did seem to have way more configuration options than previously. So that's sort of a very quick summary for November. As I say, I haven't covered October yet, so why don't we jump into October and we'll go into some of these October features in a little bit more detail. So sort of in a similar way, there were quite a few visuals that were existing visuals and went from preview to generally available or just had new functionality added to them. So the button slicer last month, which I've demoed on previous What's New in Power BI, went from preview to GA. So now that should be hopefully stable and ready to use in production. As I mentioned before, automatically expand table columns to fill available space. I'll jump into that in just a second. And then the next two new features I'm going to spend a little bit more time on: performance analyzer in the web to see the load time of visuals, and then also introducing the new Power BI controller in Power BI in PowerPoint. That was one of the new features that I jumped into and really had to explore a little bit. I haven't looked at PowerPoint with Power BI integration recently, and I personally just liked that the title was Power BI Controller in Power BI in PowerPoint. That made me chuckle a little bit. But with that, why don't we jump into Power BI and we can first look at automatically expand table columns to fill the available space. So this is the demo report that I use to demo all the new features and functionality in Power BI every month. And you'll see down here in the bottom left-hand corner, I have a matrix visual. I have client type and client age in the hierarchy on the rows of my matrix. I have a total balance as the measure in the values of my matrix. And I also do have a nice little spark line as well in an additional column. But one thing that you will see is that this matrix only takes up sort of like 2/3 of the available space of the actual visual that I've placed on the report canvas. So we have all of this empty space over here to the right-hand side, which, if you've used Power BI really any time in the last 10 years, this will be familiar to you. That you might end up resizing your column widths, dragging them over. Maybe you try and fudge your design of your report canvas a little bit so that things sort of fill and look a little bit nicer. But what this new update does is that it allows us to automatically make that matrix fill up all the available space. And to do that, we just have to click on our matrix or table visual. I'm going to open up the format pane on the right-hand side. And under column headers and options, we have these new options here, resize behavior. We've had auto size width before, which right now is toggled to on, but this resize behavior, we have fit to content, which should be the default, and that has been the default behavior up to now. The matrix is sized so that all of these columns just are wide enough for the values in them, but I can say grow to fit, and that pushes all of those columns to expand to the entire width of the visual size that I've placed on the report canvas. So this example might be a little bit extreme, that is like quite wide, but this is really helpful as you are developing your report pages, if you are using table visuals and matrix visuals, rather than having to manually resize and drag them across, and then maybe you forget that you've done that, and then the report refreshes and everything collapses down again, and then you have to go back, and it's a really big pain. We just have a nice, easy configuration option here, resize behavior, grow to fit, and it fills up all the available space. So that's one of my favorite features from both October and November, going into the table and the matrix visual. The next feature that I want to cover is looking at the performance analyzer in the web. When I checked earlier today, it hadn't been released to my tenant, which I thought was weird because it was supposed to come out in September, and then there was a delay, and then they said you're definitely going to get it in October, and now it's November, and I still don't have it. But I'm going to show the functionality of Performance Analyzer in the desktop app, and then I'm going to show you where it should be or could be for you already in the Power BI service. So if I pop up the Performance Analyzer here, what this allows us to do is see the performance of some element of our Power BI report. So if I hit start recording, and if I make a selection with a slicer, for example, we see that we have an action recorded here, changed a slicer, and we have how long it takes for all of these things that we've done, like just selecting an option in the slicer, to be applied onto our report. And we get errors for everything, because what is a demo without errors for everything? Let's see. So we see that I've changed a slicer, we've updated a shape, text box, count of clients, etc. We've made changes to the model, and we've refreshed everything. There's an error refreshing data. Let's see, am I signed in properly? I could just be signed into the wrong account. No. Anyhow, I won't worry too much about this and try and troubleshoot this live. This is bound to happen with Power BI demos. But this is what the Performance Analyzer can do. You can see how long duration in milliseconds that these things take. Then we can export. We can export some of the DAX underlying here, either to the DAX query window, or we can just expand it and have a file that we can expect in third-party tools. Not the best demo and everything breaks, but you might get the idea. For more information on Performance Analyzer, there is a dedicated blog post here as well. But within the Power BI service, what this would look like is if I open up a Power BI report and I hit Edit under View, we see that we have the option to expand panes, just like we do in the desktop app. So we have selection pane, bookmarks pane, sync slicers, etc. At the bottom, you should have the option to have the Performance Analyzer pane directly in the Power BI service, so you can see how your reports are performing within your web browser. You don't have to do this within the Power BI desktop app anymore. You can see for a published report in browser exactly how it's working. As I say, I can't actually demo this within the browser right now because it hasn't been released to my tenant just yet, which I do find weird, and I'm going to dig in a little bit to see why that is the case. But I think that is a pretty big release for this month or the last 2 months, because now you can see your performance directly on a published report. You don't have to do it locally and then sort of do investigation directly on your workspace. Let's go back to reading view. And why don't we look at my last favorite feature from this month, which is the new Power BI controller add-in. And before I jump straight into that new add-in, I do want to spend just a few minutes looking at how we can integrate Power BI into PowerPoint, because I do confess that it's been quite a while since I've looked at this, and it seems to have come a really long way in the last few years. And it really makes me wish that some of this functionality existed in the sort of 10 years ago when I was building a lot of PowerPoint slides and having to manually copy paste visuals from Power BI into PowerPoint. So if that's what you're doing right now, this hopefully will help make that process a little bit easier on you. So from a Power BI report published to the service, I can hit export and export to PowerPoint. And here we have some options of how we want to export our data. We can embed live data or just export as an image. So if you just want a snapshot, we can export as an image, but it's going to be a lot more fun, and we're going to do some more cool stuff if we embed live data. So we can do that. And then I'm going to open up PowerPoint. So once this happens, PowerPoint pops open. It does some loading of things. And then the report that we saw published, the Power BI service, is now available for us directly in PowerPoint. And I still have the option here to interact with my data, to cross-filter things. So it functions like a real Power BI report that we use either in the desktop app to author or publish to the Power BI service, but it's a live connection directly from PowerPoint. And now we have some options even within PowerPoint. We see down here in the bottom left-hand corner, right now we're connected to live data, but we can convert this to be just a snapshot. So to show an image of Power BI data to people with existing access, or a public snapshot where anyone with access to the PowerPoint can see the Power BI data. Obviously, that's a little bit of a not disconnect, but something to be aware of when you're embedding a live connection to Power BI within PowerPoint. Some of the security that you have on the Power BI side, once you embed in PowerPoint, should all flow through if you use a snapshot, but you are also able to take a public snapshot, so you can share Power BI information to those who don't even have access to the actual published Power BI report. So just something to be aware of. In the bottom left-hand corner here, we still have some options like we can filter, we can use AI to generate some automatic insights for us. We can refresh the data from Power BI. We can reset all the filters that we've done. And then we have some additional add-in options here. But one thing that I think is cool, if I just create a new slide, is we can also go to Insert Power BI here. And rather than start in the service and bring stuff into Power BI, I can start, or bring stuff into PowerPoint rather, I can start in PowerPoint and make that connection to the Power BI service. So I'm going to connect to a different Power BI report here. I'm just going to select one of the pages. I want to insert that into my PowerPoint slide. It prompts me to add a title to my slide, which I think is cool. And so now I have a different page here from still from the same workspace in the Power BI service in my PowerPoint. So that's sort of how we can integrate PowerPoint and Power BI. Where does the Power BI controller come in is that it allows us to make updates to multiple connections to multiple Power BI reports in our service. So what do I mean by that? So right now we have our financial statements in Power BI report. And if I want to convert this from live data to snapshot, I can do that, and it's done it here. But if I want to do the same thing to this report, we say then I have to go to another report page, and I have to change this to snapshot. And we can see now it's just an image. I can't click or do anything. This is not a big deal because I only have 2 PowerPoint slides, but if I'm embedding multiple pages from multiple reports and I want to convert and control things like this, that's going to take a lot of time. And if this is like a weekly slide deck that I need to update or a monthly slide deck that I need to update, that's a lot of time suck of just doing sort of manual and repetitive clicking. So what we can do instead is if I go to my Power BI controller add-in, which is in preview, I can install it by going to add-ins on the ribbon here, going to Power BI controller, and it comes up here. I have it installed. It may come up in search results if you don't have it installed there. If I pop that open, we see that I can select an operation, and I can select either reset all of the slicer selections or cross filtering or any choices that I've made in a live connection of my data, or I can change the view mode. So we can see right now I have snapshot view in both of my reports that I've embedded. If I want to change this to live data, I can hit apply, and we see just underneath that the what's new in Power BI demo is updating to live data, and the income statement for my financial statements in Power BI is being updated to be a live connection to data. And so now, instead of doing those actions in multiple places and lots of different slides potentially, I can just do it in one central controller pane within using this PowerPoint add-in. And we get updates here that my homepage and my income statement page have both been switched to the live view. So if you are using Power BI and integrating it with PowerPoint, I think this is a really cool feature, especially if you're doing sort of updates quite a bit and you are sending out slide decks to your team or to executives or to whoever, just dispersing it throughout your organization. This can help make updating these slide decks a little bit easier and a little bit of less clicks. But with that has been my 15 minutes or so of what's new in Power BI for October and November, and wrapping up the year in PowerPoint. Who would have thought? That's sort of a first for us. But with that, I'm going to hand it back to Ken, and I'm looking forward to the feature presentation. So thank you, everyone.
You know, just years ago, I remember being in a presentation in Amsterdam, and one of my buddies was sitting in the back of the room, and all of a sudden he dives on his laptop, and I'm like, what? And he just this look of panic, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? And you know, one of our buddies is presenting in the front of the room. He's looking back, going, Nick, Ken, are you guys okay? And Nick looks at me, goes, God, man, he says, I accidentally clicked on PowerPoint. It was opening. Like, and, like this guy never touches PowerPoint in his life, right? He's like, I meant to click Excel, but yeah, panic. Anyhow, thank you very much for that. Great way to wrap up the year. And again, Joseph, I really appreciate all the work you put into this on a monthly basis, bringing us to what's new. Is fantastic work. So thanks so much for doing this. And now we get to welcome Faraz to our stage. So Faraz, it's been quite a while since we've actually had you out here. So looking forward to seeing what you have for us here today. So let me, I'm going to make sure, I've got you set up as presenter. So if you want to share your screen, we'll open the floor and take it away.
Sure, just a minute. Let me try to share my screen here.
Perfect. There we go.
Are you able to see my screen?
You bet.
Lovely. So welcome today. Welcome to the Vancouver meetup. And it's my pleasure to have, thank you, Kenza, for inviting me. And today I'm going to talk about from chaos to control situation, how can you do it in Excel, especially for the guys who are here from supply chain, because I'm coming from a background from supply chain. And I have been experienced around 17 years in supply chain. And this is my passion about supply chain and Excel. So I always try to merge my passion with when you merge the passions, both of your passion, logistics, supply chain, and your Excel, then you really can do some magics, because I've always got comments, people saying that you are one of the rare MVP we see in supply chain field. So that's a very good compliment I received a couple of times. So just a quick note about me. I'm Faraz Shaik. I'm a founder of excelexciting.com, and I'm an MCD. And also I run a YouTube channel, which is Excel Exciting, and runs meetups over here in person in Saudi Arabia, and as well as online sessions I'm running in here. So my mission is always with my friends over here and everyone to share the best out what we can get from Microsoft technologies, and even equally learn from these lovely meetups which is happening all around the globe. So usually, let's jump to the supply chain reality. Okay, there are a lot of files, no visibility, and there are late shipments. There is a lot of unknown delays, no single truth of information. And we're gonna look some file. We're gonna look one file which I have prepared it, keeping the concept in mind of what would be there when you come to shipping and supply chain. So I will not take much slides. I'll quickly jump to the demo. So we're going to hit it with this baseball bat, and we want to see that how things are running. Okay, so this is a data set what I have over here. So first I'll quickly make you aware about this data set which we have it over here. And this data set which is available over here, it's about the shipping. It has an order number, it has the order date, it has the shipment number and item code and the shipped quantity and the ETD and ETA. So when it got dispatched, when it's got arrived, and what's its actual arrival date and the status is, and some shipment costs. So we just gonna quickly look some things over here. And just to make things in control when it comes to supply chain, I'll just turn off my camera so we get a good bandwidth. Okay, so we have over here now, one of the things when you receive any kind of a data, it's very important that you always try to study your data, try to understand the data, try to understand the abnormalities in your data. It's very important before you start going and start doing some kind of a process or analysis. So this is the first step which you should always remember. And once you are familiar with your data set, then definitely you can play around with it the way you want. So it's very important to know your data before you start preparing your data in Excel or even in Power BI, any kind of a data set what you have. So first thing what I would like to tell you that whenever you get any kind of a data set, always try to connect it with Power Query and then you try to do it. But here we are just going to see some examples over here and then we try to push it to the Power Query. If you haven't used Power Query, it's an amazing tool. And we have the guru over here, Ken Saab, whom I learned Power Query from. So definitely, he can put more light on that. But let's see today. So when you get this data set, always try to convert the data into Excel tables. So first, when you come over here and Command T, and you can do it with the Command T, which is a shortcut, Control T. Sorry, I'm using a Mac, so I say Command T. And then you can just always give a name to this table. So I can call this as TBL shipment data. It's very nice always to give a nice name. So you know if you have multiple tables coming in your Excel file, you can easily understand from where the data is coming from. So let's come here and I just like to keep it very simple as it is. So it didn't bother much to my eyes. And then uh, another important thing that when we come here and insert a pivot, and when we go, you can see that now it is coming that name of the table. So if I give in a range, then it would be a range. And now it is coming as a table name, what we have given to this table. So I'm going to insert it. I'm going to say the PO number, the shipment number, and item, it's coming as item name. So now if you see, now this layout is a default layout which is available in Excel. Now every time we need to go to table, analyze, and go to design, go to do not show subtotal, make it in a tabular form, and then you come across and place your quantity. So there is a way in Excel where you can change the default layout. Let's come over here, File, and go to Options. And under Options, you go to Data. And under Data, you will see over here that whenever you open an Excel, whenever you load a pivot table, where you want to get it loaded. So we always keep that A3 and you say that you don't want to show that subtotal and grand totals you want it on rows and columns. Okay, on rows and columns, and it should be a tabular form. And if you'd like to repeat them, like over here we have these order numbers, PO numbers, and if you like to repeat them, I'll say repeat them. Okay, and we click OK, and that goes. Okay, so now next time when I'm going to come here and insert the pivot table again, and this time again PO number, shipment number, you can see that I got that repeated values, and that is an item name, and the quantity which is over here. Let's go and place the quantity over here. So that's one of the best way you can save a lot of your time when you are working with your data set And you can really come across such scenario where you wanted to always get the data more into tabular form. And I've seen people, they use um, this expand and collapse button, which is a very good tool. So if you have a data set which you want to summarize it, you can definitely come here and you can just collapse the field, so you can see the summary quickly over here. So I think I can show you something better in the visualization. Let's remove the PO number. And yeah, I think yeah, let's take the port of loading. Yeah. So see, we have some port of loading which is blank. Okay. So as I told you, it's very important to see the data which is blank. So I can collapse this. So I can really come to know the quantity what has been shipped from different port of loadings, from Saudi Arabia, from the MAM, and all the places from the port, from the different ports. So then I can go and drill down and further I can see what is an item. And even if I have a shipment number, let's put back the shipment number over here. So this shipments in the MAM, how many shipments we have, you can easily identify that. So I can click here and I can collapse the field so I can quickly come to know. And definitely, like if I need to add the subtotal, I can go to design and then I can go to show the subtotal at the bottom of the group. Oops, where it is. Okay, so we can go here, field setting, custom, sum, and that will sum up the totals over here. Great. So I have another trick which is over here, and let me delete this. You can come up to another one. Now, as I come over here, uh, we usually come across data sets which are having dates mention. Like now, if you see a date, usually what is a date? The biggest challenge I have seen in my career, people using Excel, and when they are working with data, they always mention the dates as a decimal one, which is like 24.04.2024. Actually, this is not a date. The Excel basically stores every date as a number. So if I go over here, custom, and I'll say general, you can see this is a number. And when I come here and I go and I say general, it doesn't change anything. There is no impact on this. In fact, so every date is stored as a number. So we need to make sure that your date is stored as a number. Now, when I'm going to pull this into a pivot table, let me show you how this is going to behave. Okay, so we're going to remove this. We're going to remove the items, and we were having the date, right? So it's a nice way to search something called date. Oh, in fact, I don't have like that. No issues. So we have ETA. Now you can see it has grouped up that date, and I can always come to pivot analyze and I can ungroup them. So I got it in a proper date one. Now, if I bring this date, which was in the ETA, now if you see, this is coming as not as a date, it is coming as a text number. So I cannot apply any kind of formatting. So if I would like to apply the formatting on the ETD, so let's say that I'd like to have a formatting. I'm going to come to file, home, customs, and then I would like to have a formatting, which is, let's say, this is my favorite one. Yeah. Okay, so I can apply the formatting. But similarly, when I try to come here and I try to apply some kind of a formatting, it doesn't work. Because why? Because it is stored as a text value. And this is commonly I've seen when you are extracting the data also from ERPs, and in many places, people are facing this problem. So let's come here. There's a simple way to turn this data into a proper date. All you need to do is just come here, select this one, and then you need to go to data, and then you need to go to text to columns. Let's go next. And then what you need to do is next. And you can see an option over here which says, you can see right over here, which says date. Okay, so I'm just going to say over here, the format is date, month, and then the year. So DMY and finish. And that's how quickly we have converted our date into a proper date format. So let's come here, format, come here. And now when we're going to see here, our ETA is automatically updated. Now, let me tell you, there is a new feature which is released by Microsoft Excel, and it's called auto refresh. So if I'm going to make any changes on my pivot table, I don't need to like earlier go and refresh it. It's going to automatically update it on behalf of me. So this is really a great feature. So you should be able to see it. If it is not there, yes, then definitely you need to go and do right click and refresh it out. Great. Now, why do we need this kind of dates? Okay. Now, let's say, honestly, I wish the Power Query change type. Date allowed is typical. Oh, yes, yes, I agree with you, Kensa. But yeah, but I use a lot of local. Local is really helpful. Yeah. In fact, local has solved a lot of my problem, when I was dealing with dates in Power Query. Okay, so another part why we need this is, let's say that we want to remove the PO number and let's group them. See, now I'm going to click again the group field, and this time I'm going to say years and months, and I'm simply going to place the month in the in this columns, the years in the columns. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the data by month, and I'm getting the data by year. So that's how I can summarize the information quickly with the pivot table. Now, again, coming over here, if I click on ungroup the selection, then it's going to spread it back again how it was in original form. But that's how you can handle it. Let's do it ungroup again. And now let's say that I would like to see on every 7 days of intervals how many shipments or how many quantity is been shipped out. Now, usually what happens, people they go over here and they add some columns and then they group it out. But one of the best way I would love to do is that I just come here, I go to pivot table, and then I go to this group field, and then I select the days, and the days I'm going to say 7 days and click OK. So you can see now every 7 days it has grouped up the information for me, and this is really handy and really helpful for me to analyze the information that within that 1 week period of time, how much shipment has shipped out or received. It can be looked in this fashion. And of course, the number formatting, I can just come here, right click and number format, gen numbers, and I always love to have this one, okay, and without decimals. So that's how I can get it out. And then I can play around with my data set. I can say that, okay, sort it with the oldest to newest or something. What I can say is the ship quantity, which is the highest one. So I can easily identify which week it was the month of December. So usually we have a lot of Christmas gifts are going to come. So in December, you see that the number is growing up. So I can prepare myself, I can prepare my team that, okay, fine, we're going to ship out this much of quantity or arriving this quantity. Another part of a trick, which is in the supply chain, this is one of my favorite one. Xmas and Christmas, yes, yes, why not? Uh, why not Christmas in Saudi Arabia? Okay, so let's come over here. Now, one of the challenge is I always observed is, let me remove this one. And okay, let's remove this. And let me put the port of loading over here. And now I wanted to count the number of shipments. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to place the shipments. Now, if you see, these records are like 10,000 rows of records. Okay. And I'm going to say, yes, okay, give me this number and perfect. Now, if you see it carefully, these are not the number of shipments. In fact, these are number of rows of records. So now if I come over here and let's quickly do an analysis, unique, and this will be unique. And these are my shipment numbers. And I will do a count A and minus count A and -1. Why the -1? Because we have headers. So it should show us the uh, it should show us 301 in the total. Now here what we see is something it's not right over here because it's going to read, it's going doing a count. If you see, it's doing a count of the shipment number. Okay, so let's delete this one. And one more trick over here, just to let you know, in one very important thing, when usually we always have a habit, in fact, I was also one of them, like I used to reference the entire column, like how I have referenced it out, like entire column C. So what is happening, it's going to take the entire range until the end of the on the Excel file, and we're gonna suffer if you don't really have a good system, or if you don't have a really good memory in the system. Just a minute. Okay, so now if I drag it down, if you see, if I have the blank, since it was in tables, okay, it didn't take it, but you have an option to put it as dot. So let me show it to you over here. So let's say that if I'm referencing it out over here, and it's still here, enter. Now, if I just uncheck some branches, it's still gonna repeat. It's gonna say 0 because the array didn't find that value. But when you add a dot over here, just after that, enter. So it's gonna ignore that null values, the blank values which are over there, and it's gonna return you only the range what is having the data. Now you have to be very careful, sometime when you're doing an XLOOKUP, you don't have a data, sometime blank, and then you're referencing it a range, then the range is not in match, so you have to be careful on that. So let me remove it over here. So we were where? We were trying to count the shipment, yes. So there are two ways. One of the best way is to load this data into the Power Query and then load it into the data model. That would be the best way to analyze the number of shipments. And if you're not interested in, or if you're not interested in loading the Power Query, then there is a solution over here, which I have also placed it on my YouTube channel. And I would say equals to. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a count, an incremental count of this shipment. So I will say equals to count ifs. I always prefer to use count ifs. I will say that, okay, counts if. Now since my data is into table, I'm going to say count this from the header. Okay, I'm going to start that, and I'm going to press F2, and I'm going to press colon. Okay, and then I'm going to reference it to the row which is there. Okay, now this is my range. Okay, now this is my incremental range, comma, and then what is my criteria? Of course, my criteria is again that shipment number, and I'm going to close this, enter. So now if you see, I'm getting a record of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the number is going on where every unique shipment number is count. Now, what I can do, I can wrap this formula if uh, if the count is equal to 1, then comma 1, else make it 0. Enter. And this is number of shipments. Now, as I told you in pivot table, now they have a new feature. So now if I see number of shipment is already appearing over here. Now, all I need to do is I just need to remove this, and I just need to place this one. And now we can see that we have exactly these numbers coming up. So you have 300 shipments, which are over here. Great. So this is going cool now. So we have now how many
That's
shipments have been done from Dammam or from Istanbul, and everything is been plotted out over here. Perfect. So that's how we do it with the formula version. And now let me show it to you how we will do it with the Power Query one. So let's go over here and go to data and from table slash range. And okay, let's try it in something a different way. Let's go to, this is a very common way. Let's try to do it something writing with the formula. Go over here, take a blank query. And once you load it into the blank query, perfect. So we are getting that editor over here. Okay, so the query, this is a blank query. So what I can do, I can just simply say equals to Excel dot current workbook, and I'm going to close the parentheses and open it. And whatever the tables will be there, it's going to pop up over here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply select this table as table, and I'm going to click here on this table. I know that what I have done is a longer way, but the objective was to show you that how can you get it also with the blank query. And then it's going to go and detect all that data types and everything. Now, when we come here, close and load to add this to the data model. I'm not going to make any kind of a transformation right now. And it's going to say, no, nothing, only the connection. And I just want it to be in the data model. So meantime, it is going to go and get it into the data model. Perfect. So we got this stuff into the data model. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our data model, manage data model, enable it. And what we're going to do is we're going to say that number of, I'm going to write a simple measure, which going to count the number of shipments. And I would say number of ship, number of shipments equals to distinct count of this column and close parentheses. Oh, shipment number already existed. Okay, so I'm going to call this as ship. Oops, ship, number of ships. So it should return me the same number. This is one way while writing a formula. You can count it out, and also you can count the PO numbers, number of unique, and then once you close this data model, now remember, now since you have load the data into data model, when you are creating a pivot table, you'll see two different pivot tables coming up. So now the data model, which is there, manage data model. And I'm going to say that, okay, make a pivot table. Okay, into the new worksheet. No, into the new worksheet. And definitely, if you see, this is the data model which is connected. If you see over here, a small icon of the data container which is there, and this is like which is directly from the table. So what we're going to see is over here and number of ship. We should see number of ships as a measure. Yeah, this is a measure over here. So I can put it over here and I can put it supplier and I got the numbers, you know, how much it is coming up. Oops, this one, port of loading. Port of loading. This one, I should have taken this one, port of loading. And we hit with the same numbers. Okay, now going back to the Power Query again. Now what had happened, if you see that we have this port of loading numbers which are there, it is blank, as in the distinct count is aggregated in pivot table. Yeah, you can also do it the count by doing it into the value setting. You can come here and this is not, yeah, over here, you can come here and private table option. Oops, coming here, setting. You have an option of distinct count when it is there is a value. So you can also do it from that way. This is, I like it to do it with the measure. Now we have the shipments over here. And let's say we can go back to our Power Query. Now, how can I go back to my Power Query? Because I didn't load it. It's easy. Just come here, go to data, edit, and launch the query editor. And there's a shortcut option, which is Alt F12. So that will also load it. Now, a few settings which can really help when you're working with a big data in Power Query. What I would suggest you that you please use column quality and monospaced. In the column quality column, we saw that something port of loading was missing with some values. Okay, so column profile, and you can see now it's just going to take for 1,000 records, but we're going to say for the entire data set. Now you have to just make sure that if you have a really big data set, then you have to be uh, careful about that whether you have that resources to handle it or not. Now here, if you see, we saw that we got that data which is a zero over here. Okay, so that is one of the reasons this column quality is showing you that it's 100% over here. Now let's come back over here, and somebody who has played around with my data, who really don't want my analysis to go really well. So I'm just going to say Control Shift down. Oops. So it's Control down and Command delete. Okay, and clear it. And now when I'll go to again Alt F12, and this time when I select my query, and again I'm going to say it's on entire data set. Now you can see that it tells me that 1% of my data is missing, it's empty. So I have to, this is really helpful when you have this kind of a data set and you really wanted to understand that what is missing, where it is missing, and how much of your data is missing, then definitely you can identify it from here. So let me close this information, and let's put some port of loading over there. And let's zoom it out a little bit. So for the time being, I'm going to keep it blank, but definitely you can use a different port of loading, and let's put it Riyadh. I like Riyadh, dry port. So now when I will come here, you would definitely see that this is got updated. But the reason why it is not got updated, now remember that my data is stored into a data model. I need to refresh my query. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and refresh all. So my data will get loaded back into the data model. And now it's going to should work. Oh, so I still have 3 blank rows. I need to find it out. Where are they? So by the way, the Riyadh dry port is already here. So no problem. We can check it out later on. Where is that? Oh, yes, see, we have it over here. So we have one more shipment. So let's put it, let's make our data clean. The cleaner the data you have, the better information you can get it out. So refresh again, and it's going to pull the information. Come here, refresh. Okay, so I think I still have some blank values. So which is okay, another one. So for the timing, we'll keep it blank so we can see something what is going around later on. Now, again, we have another thing which is really nice in Excel, and I really love it. Sometimes if I just need to do a quick analysis when it comes to cost. So I have a cost for the shipments, and you can see we have different kind of currencies over here. Now, in order to get the exchange rates or something, I usually people will make a column and then they will try to get it. And means there are different ways, and I'm not saying that that's not correct. It's absolutely right. That's the way some people does it. But what you can do is the best way. Another way, what we can do is you can say this currency, which is over here, ampersand, and I would like to get it into one currency, which is USD, and I'm going to say it's like this. So now you can see the currency code. Now, why I did it like this? Because I'm going to use the currencies data types, and I'm going to pull the value of the currency over here. So now Saudi Riyal into USD. So I'm just going to select this column, and I'm going to click currencies. You cannot convert. Okay, so I'm going to convert this into copy and paste it as a value. And then I'm going to follow the way the Excel he wants me to do it. I'll go to data and click on currencies. So it's going to go and convert it, but we're going to identify the data types. Okay, so what is wrong with this one? Let's try to do something, few of them, and let's see how it works. Okay, so these are working. And you need a, yeah, but it happens. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, so maybe I think it's because of the USD to USD, it's giving me this kind of an error. So let's try it out again. Okay. So if this is equals to USD, then make it as a blank, else make it this ampersand and USD. I hope this time it's gonna work. Okay, so let's go here back again. See, this is the beauty of having your data into Excel tables. So once you write a formula, you don't need to go and click down and fill down over here. It can straight away take that information of the formula and it's going to go and apply it to entire column. So that's one of the reason I love working on these kind of tables, you know, when Excel tables are there. So let's go and go to the currencies, and I hope I'm crossing my finger. Yes, it was because of that reason only. So now I know that my currency, I got my currency, which is there, the prices. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply going to go and refer it to this column. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the price, online price. So basically I'm looking for the price, which is over here, the opening price and the closing price. I would just prefer to have a price dot price, and I'll take the price, and wherever I'm getting a field error, so I'm going to say if error and the value. If error it is there, then give me 1. So that's going to work for me, and I'm going to place it as a dollar and insert another column. Then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get the cost, shipment cost in USD, shipment cost USD in dollars, and I'm going to say this column multiply by this one. So this is conversion. So that's how I got my shipment value is around like, oh wow, $27 million. That's too much of money. So thank you. Well, I wonder how this will impact the performance with all currency objects. My experience is very little bit on usually what I do if I have a lot of currencies. And in fact, what I have seen is means what I have did with the data is around like 10 to 15 currencies, not more than that. So probably you will not find that difference on that. But definitely when you have lot of currencies, you better make a table, converted table to each of the currencies, and then you can try to pull it up with the VLOOKUP. Yeah, like fastest way. Thank you, Kensab. So that's how we pull up the currencies, and that's what I love about it. And then I spoke about column quality, and so as I mentioned, that I always try to avoid working on the source data. So now what we can also do over here that I just need to know the country from which this material is getting loaded. So I'm just going to add insert a column. Now there are different ways to add it over here, but let's try to use the Copilot over here and say port of loading country. Now country, POL country. Okay, so now the port of loading country, I'm going to come here and try to ask Copilot, and I'll say, hey, just go to the uh, port of loading and extr extract the country name in the POL COUNTRY COLUMN. So let's try it out. Let's see how the Copilot's going to behave it, because this is a live demo. And let me turn off the night mode. Oh, can you please return me the unique names? Okay, it sounds like you want to extract the country uh, local file. Yes, of course. Oh, sorry. So I must save this file to my OneDrive. I need to upload it to my OneDrive. Great. So now I have it on my OneDrive. It sounds like you want to extract the country. Could you please upload the file once it is I can pull? Okay. Yes. Can you provide the sample of the data? Okay. So I'll say Jabal Ali, I need you to extr extract only UAE. This is the EXAMPL example. So maybe it's going to give us a formula or something else. Let's try it out. Ah, see, so there's a formula. If you want, oh, so it's going to give me a bigger one. Okay. If error, oh my God, no, I'm not going to go with this one. So I still need to, talk to him and explain him. But let's try to do it this way. Okay. Let's say that you wanted to have UAE, UAE, and we're going to use our old friend flash fill. So Control E, and I believe it has done a good job for us. Yeah, it really did a good job. But sometime, yes, definitely, the Copilot I have been using sometime, and a couple of times, like if you have really complex formula or something, it can really help you out, and it can suggest you a very good and simple formula. So here we have got our port of loadings over here at the country. So that's how you can use it, one way of using it as a flash fill. Now, what I'll be doing over here is something. I'm going to add a status over here. So I'm going to add a column, oops, over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'll be coming over here and doing a small formula. Let's say that the formula it will be about using Lambda. Why not? Why not try it out with Lambda? So it's going to be a very simple one, simple Lambda. And I will just open here the Lambda. Okay, no need. And I'm going to go to the module, and I'm going to say that this is going to check whether the shipment is on time or not on time. Okay. So something, give me a nice name. What should I call this? Check shipment. Okay. So I'm going to say, I hope my editor is visible. And I'll say check shipment, check underscore ship. And I'm going to call the Lambda function, Lambda. And under that Lambda, I'm going to call I'm going to take two inputs. One is the ETA. So I'm going to say ETA, and I'm going to call the ATA. Okay. So ETA and ETD, in fact. So there are two dates. Basically, you have the dates, the actual arrival of date and the estimation arrival of date. So ATA, comma. And then I'm going to call the let function. And in that let function, I'm going to say my ETA should be the ETA, what I'm going to take it from the Lambda, enter, underscore. And my ATA should be, I'll take it from the ATA column, comma, enter. So basically, if you have used the let function, then definitely, you would know about that, how you can declare the variable and put that variable into that value over here. Now, when I have the ETA and ATA, now what I'm going to do, I have a very simple calculation, and that calculation is calc. I'm going to say underscore calc, which I'll be doing it over here. And I'll say that if my underscore ETA is, oh, sorry, ATA. So because I'm going to compare my actual arrival with the estimation time of arrival. So underscore ATA is less than or equal to the ETA, then I'm going to call this is on time, or I'm going to call this as not on time, or I would say delayed, comma. I always prefer to have it like this, like result. So I'll show you why. And I'm going to call this as calculation because comma and enter, and then I'm going to call it as result. The reason why I'm using underscore, because a couple of times people, they ask me why you use underscore. Now, if I press underscore, see, it's going to give me all my related variables, what I have declared into the let function. So it's really helpful when I'm writing the Lambda or any kind of a let function in the editor. So now if you see over here, check shipment. So every time I don't need to go and write that if statement formula. I just simply need to declare the ETA, comma, the ATA, and close parentheses, enter. See, this is how I can quickly get on time or not delayed, anything which is there, I can easily get it with this way. And anytime if I need to use this Lambda anywhere, I can definitely use it on any of my sheets, and I can copy this Lambda and I can paste it out. And exactly what is it, depend upon your goal of your analysis, obviously. Yes. Now coming over here, now since we got this one, so what we can do is we can even add the emojis also over here. So instead of like on time, you can put a tick mark, or we can just go and update it over here. So instead of on time delay, I can just come here and let's try to put an emoji. So I will just try it out. Okay, so it's wrong. Okay, so this is nice one. I'll take this. And this, it should be opposite, other way around. It's really always fun when you are doing these presentations and, and thumb, thumb up. Okay, great. So let's see now. I'm just going to save it. And that's how we got our emojis over here. So there are different ways how you can handle it. You can definitely use it. Now, if I was using a Mac, I would be showing you that the emojis are like more colorful rather than grayed out over here. Okay, and let's come here. And if you can come here and see this, I'm going to delete this one for the time being because we don't need this now. So we can focus it out. And where is that delivery status? Yes, it was the delivery status, right? What was the column name? Oh, it was column name. Okay, so I'll say that shipment status, shipment or performance. So perform. And I will be not calling this over here. Okay, so there is a way to add a slicer. Now, usually what happens, people, they go over here, insert, and go and add the slicers from here, insert slicer. But one of the way is easiest way, you can just click over here, right click and go and add slicer. And you can see yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. So that's way also you can add it out and you can enjoy the emojis and you can take a full advantage of the emojis. Great. So slicers, and now we have something. Now remember, if error, I have used one place where I have used an if error. Now remember, this is one of the most, according to me, it's one of the most dangerous formula because if you find out something error, then you will end up never knowing where was the error. Okay, so be careful, be very wise when you're using if error. This is my strong warning, like this kind of warning icon which is there, big one also is available. I can show you warning WAR, this icon, this one. So it's my very strong warning that if you are using if error, please be careful. Use it when you're really confident about your data. Like I was very much confident over here. Yes, I was going to have only value as 1. And that's the reason I have used if error. Otherwise, avoid using if error. Now, one of my favorite trick, which I would like to show it to you guys over here, is this one. This is one of my favorite, and I'm definitely sure you guys would also love it. So what is happening over here? Now I have shipment numbers over here, and I have gone over here, field setting, custom, and I made a sum. And we usually do this kind of analysis. So let me bring, instead of shipment number, something more nice, that is the product. Okay, over here. And we go and we do the sum. Let me remove the number of shipments and let's take the quantity again. Okay, so we have the quantity coming up over here. And where is the number formatting? It's going to run somewhere here and there. No issues. Now, every time I go, oh, I need to see, oh, we have like 5 million of cartons we have been shipped out. We have this many number of, and each time, let's say that if I have a port of discharge, or let's say that customer, I add a slicer of the customer over here. So let's say that Doha distribution, I need to go every time down and see the number. This is really tedious for me. So what I did, usually I was having a lot of numbers and every time I need to go slicer, I need to go down, I need to check the total. So what I did, I just played a little small trick over here. What I did was, we will try to do it on this area and then we're going to put it over there. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say that, okay, uh, I'm going to reference this entire column, which is over here. This column, I'm going to take it. Okay. And I'm going to press enter. Now, if you see, it has taken everything all the way down where it is. Sorry, since I'm using Windows on Mac, you might see this things coming up. So I'm going to press dot key. So now a dot. So it's going to trim that range and it's going to keep it active till my data where it is. Okay. So now from this one, now let's say that you have a data which is again designed, and we're going to come here and repeat all the items. Now, if I'm going to come here and again, I'm going to see this, I'm going to see all this data. right? But there is something which is really interesting, which I love about it. And I tell people that please don't change this sum because this is something really helpful for me. So what I can do is I can come here and I can say is, what I can say is search, find the text, which is what? Which is the word sum. And that sum, SUM, comma, and within this range. So wherever you will find that sum is written, you will get that number. Okay, it's on what position? 23. So if it is a number, is number. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up, and this is really lovely. So wherever it is true, it's going to give me true. It's true over here, so it's going to give me true. Now I will just simply take this one, copy, and come here and call the filter function, filter, and this is my, oops, what happened? I'm going to call my filter function. I'm going to say filter, please come and take this one. Okay, before that, we have a very ugly thing which is coming up over here when you are going with get pivot data and then you drag it up, it's not moving down. So to fix this one, we can go to pivot table, go to design, pivot analyze option, and please turn it off. So don't generate pivot data. So now when I reference it, it's going to reference it to that cell. So come here and take this data, and I will say that filter, and just go down all the way because you have to keep the same range as I mentioned, comma, and paste it and close parentheses. Now A5, you can see the range which is over here, exactly the same range which is coming up. Okay, and we have to put also the decimal. Now what will happen if I don't put the decimal? One range will be this long and the other range will be that long, so long. So it's going to give me error. So it's better I put a decimal, enter, and see I got all the numbers which is coming on the sum. Okay, now you, I think you know the trick. What I'm going to do is I'm just simply just going to use the sum function. I'm going to wrap it up, enter, and that is exactly the number what we needed at our top of this one. But there's something going wrong over here. No. Okay, yes, it's right. 708, 224. And remember, sometimes when you are there, it's coming it as a total. So you have to be very careful that if you have total, then you don't need to, you need to change this something, a different name, and try to put it up some different name so that when you search that text, it will not come. So now when I click here, Bahrain, Doha, Kuwait, Lulu Group, Saudi Retail, Tamimi Markets, anything, when I'll put it up, it's going to give me that number on the top. So this really helped me to quickly analyze the information and see what's going on under the hood of my supply chain. Great. You have any questions, Kensa?
I've got
Question?
one. Why wouldn't you just use the get pivot data total for the grand total on that particular case, given that it reacts to the filters anyway? It doesn't that seem to be a lot of work to try and get to the same spot?
Yeah, even that is a good choice what you have said. Yeah. Get pivot table also. But again, when I try to do the filtering out, if I have multiple filters, will it not going to affect it?
No, because the grand total should react to all the filters that you have in place. So as long as you're trying to actually get to whatever is in the bottom right hand corner, providing you have your get pivot data turned on, if you just say equals the grand total, it should give you whatever the filtered version of the pivot table is actually returning.
Okay, so
So
let's try it.
yeah, so turn your get pivot data back on.
Okay, let's do it this one. And pivot analyze, get it, and get the pivot table on.
Yeah,
Equals
so now just
to
equals your grand total.
enter, and let's
Yep.
see. Okay, but again, it's going to take 702. Why we are hitting with different numbers?
Well,
Oh, yes, I
returning
got it.
it's returning the
Yeah,
grand
yeah,
total,
because
right? So it depends on what you're
yeah,
after.
yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. See, I got to learn something new today.
There you go. I like easy. Sometimes just makes my life simpler. But still, I mean, it's cool looking at the trim range side of that as to what you can do in filter. There's a lot of interesting capabilities from it, but sometimes I like to just keep it simple. Doesn't hurt my
Yeah.
head so much. So.
Perfect. So, great.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions that people had on this. One conversation I thought that just to sort of get on the video that we were having in the chat was around the data that you were using for the currency conversion side of things. Just one of the sort of impacts to call out from that one. Obviously, the currency conversion using the data type here is I'm not going to say live, but it's somewhat live, right? When you open the workbook, it's likely to recalculate. So it's going to be picking up whatever today's or version of those particular values are. So if you are looking at something that doesn't recalculate, you would probably want to go and get your data using something like Power Query so you can actually lock it to a specific date, knowing it's not going to change on you, versus if you want to have a quick forecast to say, what is this worth in today's dollars, and you want it to be dynamic, then this would be a good route to go with it. So it kind of depends on what your use goal is on these things, but just something to throw out there and make sure that the people are aware of if they haven't seen that in play before. So, but yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions in the chat or that anybody wants to ask. But if you do, I mean, now's the time because Faraz is still here. But thanks, Faraz. This was a great thing. I got to tell you, one of the things that I saw in this today that I have actually never done, and I don't know why. I've never actually used an emoji in a slicer inside Excel before. I've done it in Power BI, and it's so much work to do it in Power BI, and in Excel, it's actually so easy. And I'm trying to decide or trying to ask myself the question as to why I've never done that. I just wish they were in color. That's the only thing I would change for Excel desktop, but I didn't realize that Mac gives them to you in color. I know Excel
Yes.
Online gives them to you in color. It's just Excel desktop, the flagship product, is kind of the poor cousin when it comes to emoji color, which is just strange. But usually we got the better features in Excel for Windows. So
I
I
just
don't.
have one thing to
Oh
just
yeah.
share, Kansa. Only
Yep.
one thing which has been just one thing which has been left out. Uh, just let me share my screen over here. Yeah. So just one thing in case if anybody is using the CBM calculator, so this is like a Lambda which I have prepared it over here. So in case if like you wanted to convert something into the CBM calculator, let me unhide this and CBM calculator. I can use this Lambda. What I can do is I can go to Excel Labs again and definitely, I can come here and I can import my Lambda from the Git, and I'm just going to paste it and import it. So my Lambda of that CBM calculator, which is over here, and I'm just going to save it and close. Now equals to CBM converter. So I call this the length, the width, and then the height which is there. And if you have number of packages, you can declare that. And then the unit of measurement which is there. So it's going to quickly convert it and give it to you. So let's say that if I have it in it's going to convert it, and let's say that it is 800 and it is in centimeters. It's going to work perfectly fine. So if you have number of packages, you can still do that. So there are some lifesavers Lambdas which I called over here on my gist. So you can definitely feel free to go and check it out. There is a center of gravity. There is a mathematics table which I prepared it. So math table is one of my favorites. It's an Hijri rate calculation. So some lifesaver lambdas which are there, I have put it in one place. So you can definitely go and check it out.
Cool. And then you can store them in Monkey Tools, so you don't even have to go and paste a gist in
Yeah,
order to put them into
yeah,
Excel. Just insert, and away you go. But getting the data sources or getting the Lambda first is always the challenge. So fantastic. Well, Faraz, thank you so much for coming back and doing this. It's been way too long since we've had you on the show here. Really appreciate the presentation. And I see there's comments in the chat here around picking up so many small different gems and everything else. So great stuff. Really appreciate it. Yeah, can you share your GitHub link in the chat for people? That would be fantastic, and we'll try and make sure that we also get that posted on the meetup site if we don't already have it, or on with the YouTube video when we actually get that recording posted as well. Fantastic, thank you. Awesome. All right. Well, on that note, we'll sign off for today. We'll get the video posted up in the next 24 to 48 hours. Thanks again for doing the presentation for us. Thanks again to Joseph for doing our What's New in Power BI for us. And don't forget that our next meetups are open for RSVPs. We will see you next time, folks. Thanks very much. Catch you later.